listening to the Healthy in Real Life podcast, episode number 195.
Hey everyone, welcome back to the show. This is Gina, creator of the Fitnessista blog and brand. I'm so excited that you're here today and so excited for today's episode. Before we dive in, I have a huge favor to ask you. If you enjoy the podcast, if you wouldn't mind just taking 15 seconds wherever you're listening today just to hit that 5-star review. Wherever you're listening, it really helps with the visibility of the show. It helps it to continue to grow. Also helps me to continue to book the amazing guests that I'm able to have here on the podcast. So if you enjoy the show, if you wouldn't mind leaving that review, I'd appreciate it so much. And then you can head to fitnessista.com/podcast review and I'll send you a copy of my Bar Blast workout for free. Just a little gift from me to you. A super fun combo of classic bar exercises with cardio drills. So today on the podcast, I have my good friend Tina on the show. And Tina was one of the very first blogs that I ever read when we were living in Valdosta. She was one of the first ones. And I just remember thinking like, I could be best friends with this girl. We have so much in common. And she's one of the people who inspired me to start my own blog back in the day. So we've been in this world a long time. I'm thankful that she became a real life friend through the blog world. And of course, I was pumped to have her on the podcast today. Something that Tina has been doing recently is she's been offering GLP-1s to her clients, and she's even experimented with using some of them herself. So as soon as she started posting about this, I reached out to her right away and I sent her a really long voice message. I was like, hey, I see that you're doing this. So many people are talking about it. Clients are asking me about it. Here are all of my hesitations. And I literally just like rattled off all of my concerns. And you guys know I did a podcast episode about this not too long ago with some of my biggest concerns about using these GLP-1s and the headlines and the side effects that have come out. And so she sent me a really long voice message back and we kind of went back and forth, and she gave me so much great information. And I think that one of the most helpful keys in this whole lesson that I've learned is that it's just like anything else. There's just so much nuance. It's so bio-individual, and the power seems to be coming from microdosing these things. So that's what we're talking about today. Because she is my friend, like I felt like I could just ask her all of my hard questions, and I knew that she would be honest with me. So I really wanted to record it for you guys so that you could see what she had to say. I feel like there's a huge stigma around these. I do think that the side effects sounds super scary, which is my hesitation, but I've always been a never say never type person. Like I have pretty strong feelings about Botox, but I always say never say never. There might be something else that comes out, or maybe I decide later like, okay, fine, I do want to get a little Botox. So this is one of those things. I think I'm changing my mind a little bit when it specifically comes to the GLP-1s, when it comes to microdosing. So using these in super small amounts just to stimulate the body's natural process of creating these peptides. But I've been a fan of peptides in general for many years. So I've used glutathione and NAD for many years in my wellness IVs. So this is another tool in the toolkit. I think that it's a lever that we can pull from if we need to. And also because so many clients have asked me about it and they're like, well, I want to work with you and I want to do it the right way. And I also want to support the foundations. This is something that I'm also starting to offer clients. So I'm working with Tina. She's helping to educate me because she's been doing this so much longer, and she has a course that's specifically for practitioners. So she's the one helping me. So if you're curious and learning more, especially as you hear more and more about this and you're like, I want to try this, but maybe I want to just try a little bit of it and see how it goes, I have a link in my show notes where you can learn more about it. But of course, let me know if you have any questions. I feel like in this space, it can be so hard to change our mind about things because like we're out there on the internet and we're sharing our thoughts and our opinions. But I also think that it's so powerful to adapt when you have new information. And I've had to do this so many times in my life. I'm like, oh, I think this way. I think this is the way things should be. But then I'm presented with new information. I'm like, okay, wait a second. Maybe I could adjust this. Maybe this could be a little bit different. So I think that it's really powerful to be open-minded in anything. So not just health and fitness, also just your beliefs and just things that you might have thought to be true, and just getting new information and being like, oh, okay. Like, you don't have to be fixed in a mindset. So I've obviously grown a ton since I started the blog. Thank goodness I'm not the same person I am when I first started back in 2008, 2009, around the same time. I've learned along the way and I've made a lot of changes. So I think that my end goal, and I know this is Tina's goal as well, we just want women to feel well. Like, I just want you to be happy and feel energized and feel like you're accomplishing your goals and have longevity and vitality and be there for your kids and not deal with mystery symptoms. So of course the foundations are a huge part of that, but using little tools as needed along the way, that's okay too. So that was my little soapbox before we head into this episode. So we're diving in to GLP-1s, microdosing. She's answering all of my hard questions, all of the things that I had been hesitant about just from the headlines and things I've seen online. So it's an amazing conversation. I really hope you enjoy it. If you're not familiar with Tina, I'll give you a little background about her. So Tina Haupert is a Boston-based lifestyle influencer, the creative mind behind Carrots and Cake, a popular healthy living blog that chronicles her adventures, workouts, and recipes, all while sharing that you can have your carrots and eat your cake too. She's a certified nutrition coach and functional diagnostic nutrition practitioner. Tina works with one-on-one clients utilizing a macro-based approach to help them find balance within their diets while achieving their body composition goals. She's written quite a few books, but head to her website. She's Carrots and Cake everywhere. So carrots and then the letter N, cake. That's her website, also her Instagram. So connect with her. She's amazing. She's been my friend for a long time. I'm so glad she's here. Welcome to the show, Tina.
Welcome to the Healthy in Real Life podcast, bite-sized tips for healthy living that you can implement right now. Join us weekly for interviews and real-life advice for creating the happiest and healthiest version of yourself. Here's your host, fitness expert, author, and mom of two, Gina Harney.
Hey, Tina. Thank you so much for being on the show today. I'm so excited that you're here.
Yeah. Thank you so much for having me. Excited to dive in.
Yes. So I've known Tina my entire blog life. Like, you were one of the very first blogs I ever read, one of the first bloggers that I was able to meet. So I've known Tina for so long. I feel like a lot of my audience knows you as well. But if they're not familiar with you, would you mind just sharing some background about yourself and what you do and kind of how you got into the peptide world?
Yeah. So I've been on the internet since the beginning of time. Started a healthy living blog back in 2008 and really used it as a place to share my lifestyle, my workouts and the recipes and, my wedding planning and my family and my dog and all of that. And I did that for a really long time. I mean, that was pretty much my job. And I guess we're going to give you the longer story, but I was this healthy living blogger. I still say I was one of the OGs. Gina was in that category too. But then in 2011, I was diagnosed with ulcerative colitis. And that really threw my world upside down just because I was promoting myself as this healthy living blogger. I had written books and cookbooks and diagnosed with a chronic condition. So that was really, really hard for me. The reason I'm telling you this is I ended up in the functional nutrition space. So I ended up becoming an FDN practitioner in 2020 just because I wasn't getting the answers and results from the conventional system, and love the conventional system. We need doctors. I really think the functional and the conventional, when they're together, that's when we're going to get the best results. And there's 100% time and place for medications. And I've been on every single medication for ulcerative colitis. So I know for me, they didn't work. So I wanted different results and different answers. So became an FDN practitioner, loved the functional testing, ran all the functional tests on myself, and that's what we do now over here at Carrots and Cake. And the functional testing definitely got me from point A to B, but I was still struggling, even taking those medications. And I was on 3 different biologics, so I would have to go to the hospital and get an infusion. It would take half my day, and it was like a whole thing. But anyways, I got better, but not 100%. I would have periods of remission and just was never 100%. I was still having flare symptoms, and it really impacted my life. I mean, I remember canceling trips. I remember not being able to go to the grocery store. Even walking the dog around the block was like a whole thing just because I would need a bathroom ASAP. And last fall, is when I started working with a new practitioner, and he was next level. Having ulcerative colitis, I always thought it was a digestive disease, which it is. But I think a lot of people, and myself included, were focused on the wrong things as far as digestion goes. And yeah, working with him, discovered a whole new world of tools as far as peptides, and how they can help as far as inflammation and healing and mitochondria and the immune system and all of that. So I've done a lot of things over the years, but at the end of the day, I just want to be healthy. I want to be healed from ulcerative colitis. I'm kind of over this journey as far as the 14 years go that I've struggled with it. And yeah, I just love a good body experiment. But at the end of the day, I just want to find something that works for me, and I'm happy to share it with my audience. And that's what I've been doing all these years. So that was kind of the long story, but in a nutshell, we're carrots and cake. I have a small team of practitioners. We work with women one-on-one and in group programs, and we run functional testing, and we just lean into the foundations. Like, we're not doing anything special over here, but we just want women to feel their best and want to make sure they're doing it in the most strategic and helpful way. Because I feel like there's a lot of things you can do. So we're big on the data piece and making sure ladies are doing things with a purpose instead of just eating less, exercising more, and not getting the results that they want. So anyways, that was a long story, jumped around a little bit, but wanted to give you the whole background.
No, I love that. And I love that you mentioned how much it's helped you for those health issues, because I feel like so often we just hear about the benefits for weight loss, but they can do so many other things. So a little like peptides 101, can you break down what they are, how they work, and then the difference between semaglutide and tirzepatide? Because I feel like those are the most popular ones. Yeah.
Yeah, all my favorite topics.
Yay.
So yeah, I feel like peptides were made popular because of these GLP-1s. And GLP-1s are just one type of peptides. And peptides are basically little chains of amino acids, just like you would eat your protein is made up of a bunch of amino acids. They're just way bigger. You've probably heard of like collagen peptides. Very, very similar. But these peptides, they are sometimes natural, sometimes synthetic. I would say the majority are synthetic, but they're pushing your body to do natural processes. So either your body is not doing these processes well, or it needs to do them a little bit more. And there's a lot of reasons why our bodies don't work well. I just think as we age, there's a lot of things that happen as far as hormones slowing down, gut health getting worse, glutathione being depleted, growth hormone being depleted. So these peptides can really push your body to work better and even heal your body. So they are different than medications. And like I was saying with the medications, I've been on every single medication for ulcerative colitis. And, as a whole, what those medications did was shut down parts of my immune system. I mean, I've been on prednisone so many times. And as amazing as prednisone is, it shuts down your whole dang system. It's not healing my body. It's just suppressing the symptoms. So with the peptides, now you have a chance to actually have your body work better and actually heal. So I think they are a much better tool. And it stinks that the GLP-1s have gotten such a bad rap, because so many women, they just discount like a whole category of peptides just because they see GLP-1s and they're like, oh, it's just a weight loss shortcut. But there's a whole world of peptides that can help you with your gut health, your immunity, your sexual function and desire, your ability to build muscle, to sleep better. There's so many benefits of peptides. So it just stinks that, the GLP-1s have gotten such a bad rap. So your other question, as far as the difference between the two. So in a nutshell, Ozempic is almost like the first generation of these GLP-1s, and it's a great product. It's been around since 2005. It was used with diabetic patients, type 2 diabetic patients, people that had metabolic issues and metabolic syndrome. It works great. There's been a ton of studies on it. So it's always crazy when people are like, they're not safe, or, there's not enough research. And I'm like, they've been doing research on these things for 20 plus years now, and they have been part of huge clinical studies, like on actual humans, not like rats or mice or anything. And that's just in the United States. Other countries have been using these peptides for a very long time. So if you're looking for research, look in the US, but look in other countries as well. So Ozempic, basically, or semaglutide, same name or same product, first generation. And basically what it does is adds more GLP hormone to your system. And the GLP hormone is made in your gut. and your brain. And for a variety of reasons, we just don't make enough. So this is pushing your body to produce more as far as like taking that GLP-1. The tirzepatide or Wegovy, there's all sorts of names for that one. That one, that's typically where I steer women just because of this phase of life with our declining hormones. I think a lot of times more and more blood sugar and insulin issues start to pop up. So this product, it's a GLP-1 with a GIP agonist. And basically you're getting a much better product. It's like a second generation of these GLP-1s, but that GIP stands for gastric inhibitory polypeptide. And that is really slowing down your gastric emptying. So you're going to stay full for longer. And it has enhanced benefits when it comes to that insulin sensitivity, blood sugar control. And of course, the GLP-1, it's basically appetite suppression. So, or appetite control. Again, I'm going to talk, I have so many soapboxes as far as like how these medications work. And with the tirzepatide, you're getting the benefits of the GLP-1 and the GIP. So they call it a dual agonist in the sense that it's working on two different things. And I do think ladies, especially in midlife, get better results because now it's going to be easier for your body to deal with glucose, be more sensitive to insulin, and you're better able to lose weight. So I like it better, but I think both can be good depending on what you need. So hopefully that's a good summary. And I have so much more to say. I didn't want to go down too many rabbit holes.
No, that's good. And that's such a good breakdown too. So I feel like you're my friend, you're real with me. So you're one of the first people I reached out to about this because I'm like, I had always had so many hesitations, not about peptides in general, but specifically the GLP ones, just because you hear all of these horror stories and you hear that it's going to like eat away your muscle and give you osteoporosis later because you have no muscle left on your frame. And also as a health coach, and I'm sure you see this too, the idea of women not eating more is concerning too, because so many of my clients aren't eating enough to begin with. So I'm like, why would I put you on something that's going to have you eat less when you're already malnourished? And also the delayed gastric emptying. I wanted to talk to you again about that too, because I think that's important. I think so many women have gut issues, have leaky gut, candida, yeast, bacterial overgrowth. So it's like, are things hanging out in your gut longer, making those problems worse?
Yeah, 100%. So I have so much to say about all these misconceptions and headlines and,
Yeah.
sensational media claims and everything. But yeah, I'll start there with far as like the gastric emptying. So yeah, a side effect can be that things slow down on the GI front. But as I always tell our clients and ladies in the Care to Cake community, a lot of times it's not a medication issue. It's more of a dose issue. And I think you're going to hear about more of those like crazy side effects as far as like stomach paralysis and muscle loss and hair loss and all that. I think it's really from the bigger doses. And that's the thing with a therapeutic dose. Like if you were to go through your primary care doctor and you had a BMI of a certain number and you were improved by insurance, those doses are a lot higher and they actually titrate you up higher and higher so you continue to get the results. And weight loss is the main point of the GLP-1s when they're used in that manner. But I think for a lot of ladies, especially the ones that are in this phase of life, and as I always say, if you are doing 70 to 80% of the foundations well, and like you're just not getting the results that you want depending on, body composition, weight loss, maybe you haven't seen the scale move in years, or, you just don't look as fit and toned. I think the GLP-1s can be a nice tool for you in a microdose. And a microdose is a much smaller dose than that starting therapeutic dose. So for some of our ladies, we're starting them with a fifth of the starting dose, a fourth, a third, you know what I mean? Like we do a much smaller dose. And I think when they're smaller like that, you don't have as many side effects. I mean, honestly, I would say our clients have no side effects. Like they feel really good. I mean, side effects in the sense that they're having positive side effects. They're not having any of the negative ones. But again, I think it's dose dependent. And also, I think when you hear all these horror stories, the medications or GLP-1s were used on people who were metabolically unwell. So I think there's like a lot of things working against them as far as like insulin resistance, type 2 diabetes, metabolic syndrome, hormone issues, all of that. So I think if you're somebody 40 plus, that just needs a little help metabolically. Because I do think we get to this phase of life. And I hate to say that it's harder at this phase of life, but there are things that are kind of working against us, or they're just not the same as they were in our 20s and 30s. And sometimes you need just a little leg up. And the way I see like the microdosing is almost like supportive. So if you were a woman who needed thyroid hormone because you had low thyroid, or, your progesterone was low and you couldn't sleep and you added some progesterone, I see it as just adding a little something to your system in a very gentle way, but it's supportive of your health, not blasting your body with GLP-1. So the weight comes off overnight and you lose fat and muscle and, feel like crap.
Yeah, exactly. Okay, that makes a lot of sense. So with the decreased doses, you see way, way less side effects. And then also, how does that work with maintenance mode? Like after they hit their goal, how do they maintain it? Do they need to stay on these things for the long term? Are they able to taper off of them over time?
Yeah, so it really depends on the person, and I've seen ladies do both. So I think with the microdose, you have a better chance of maintaining that weight loss. So again, with the bigger doses, the weight is coming off way faster. And I always compare it to like if you were to do a crash diet, the weight would come off really fast, but then when you go back to eating normal or go off the med, of course, like you're going to have some weight gain. But I think with the microdose, you're doing it in a very slow and steady way. And again, with the microdosing, you're losing half a pound to maybe a pound a week. I mean, some weeks you might not even see the scale move a ton. But I think with that slow and steady weight loss, you're able to maintain your muscle as long as you're strength training. Make sure you're eating enough and your metabolism's not going to down regulate. So when you come off of it, you're not going to gain all of that weight back. I just think it's very, very gentle. And I've seen ladies. So we have some ladies that have started these meds and they're like, I'm probably going to be on this forever because it's been life changing. So we have a coach on our team, on the Carrots and Cake team, and she's not secretive or quiet about this. She's very open, and this is why she loves peptides so much. But when she was in high school and college, she was bulimic and she really struggled with her relationship with food. I mean, even from a young age, like in her house, her mom was an anorexic and there was just a lot of messaging around, food and everything. And she said even in her 40s, she would have binge episodes. So for her, as a functional practitioner, she has worked really hard on her health. She is a healthy person. She's not under eating. She's strength training, getting her minerals, getting her sunlight, all of that. But for her, a microdose has really quieted a lot of that food noise, and she hasn't had any of these binge episodes. So when she discovered the microdosing, she's like, I will be on this forever. This is amazing. So I started a microdose for the ulcerative colitis. And I mean, also because I was curious and just wanted to help our clients. And I love a good body experiment. It's great for inflammation and longevity. And there are amazing studies out there as far as bone health, brain health. There's so much good stuff coming. So very excited. But the reason I'm telling you this is once I get to the end of my stash, I have 3 months of peptides, so I've been just kind of stretching it out, of the GLP-1, but my goal is to taper off of it and just see how I do off of it. So I think it's kind of mixed. Like some people are like, this is great. I want to do it long term. Other people try it for a period of 12 weeks, 16 weeks, something like that, and taper off. And in theory, if you have kept up your habits as far as the strength training, getting your protein in, eating enough, minerals, all the things that we preach as holistic practitioners, I don't think you're going to have a lot of that weight gain back. Also, being on the GLP-1, yes, your body is more sensitive to insulin. You're doing a better job as far as glucose disposal goes. But at the same time, you are doing some work as far as healing your metabolism. So I think you can end up in a much better spot after doing like a round of these peptides. So again, there's not specific microdosing research out there yet. A lot of the research that you'll see is on these bigger doses, but just in practice, like clinical practice, working with other practitioners and doing this whole peptide thing, we've heard some really great stories. And we actually do have some data that we're rounding up for our case studies and our practitioner course about people who have stopped the microdosing and what they're doing now as far as their health and if they've had any sort of like significant weight gain. So we do have some stuff coming soon. But yeah, I think it depends on the person. But again, the foundations are always going to win. And the way I describe it to our clients is the peptide should be almost like the condiment on the side of your plate. And if you were looking at your plate, on that plate is the foundations. your walks, your strength training, your daily sunlight or morning sunlight, your sleep, your protein, your fiber, your minerals, all of the things on the plate that you have to do. But next to the plate could be the peptides. There could be HRT there. There could be some supplements. And those things can enhance what's on your plate and, of course, get you better results, enhance your quality of life. But those are the extras. Those are the ketchup and the mustard and the salsa on the side of your plate. It's not the main stuff on your plate. So anyways, I ramble. I get really excited about this stuff. I probably way more than you want.
No,
I
I
hope
love
I answered your question.
No, all of the info is great. I think that everyone's going to find it really helpful.
Yeah.
I just feel like in this health space, everything has to be this like extreme. It has to be like black or white. No one ever talks about the gray area, but I feel like that's where so many of us happily live, is in the gray area. And
Yeah.
that's kind of the viewpoint I had when I first heard about these things, because I heard about all of the horrible headlines and all of the side effects and all the things that could happen. So I was like, no, this is a hard no for me. There's no free lunch. Like, you can't just press an easy button and expect nothing to happen to you. So I was pretty much against it for a long time. But hearing more about microdosing, it's really changed my mind about it. And it's made me realize that this can be a lever that women can pull on when they do feel like they're doing all the things, not getting any results, and just like a little nudge in that direction, which can make a huge difference. And then I've been hearing so many stories lately too from women who are microdosing and having really positive effects as far as like mood goes and how they feel, like their energy levels, their libido, like all of these other things. My mic is doing something weird. Every time I turn it on, it starts making like a fuzzy sound.
Yeah,
So
no, I hear that too. Yeah.
that's muting it. So it's gone right now, but I might plug in my mic, but if it keeps going. So, but yeah, but I've been hearing so many benefits from women just saying that they feel amazing on these things. And they're like, I'm going to take them forever now because I feel so good. So I think that that's changed my mind a little bit, and realizing that it can be just a tiny bit. It doesn't have to be these huge doses that you hear about.
Yeah, 100%. I think the ladies that get the best results are the ones that are kind of patient with this process. And they know this is not like a quick fix. This is something that they are doing alongside the foundational things that we preach all the time. But yeah, I just think they can be so great, especially for women at this phase. I just think a lot of us have insulin problems or blood sugar issues. And just what you were saying, like energy is better because your blood sugar is better balanced. You have more of a libido because you're not exhausted anymore. So like a lot of things are connected. I even have a client now that she was like, is this supposed to help with your ADHD? And I was like, could be a benefit. Maybe there's some research out there, but she's like, yeah, I don't feel so like scattered and I'm much more focused. So I just think a lot of it goes back to inflammation and blood sugar. And yeah, you get to this phase of life and estrogen declines. So you're a lot less sensitive to insulin. You're more sensitive to stress. And then also like you have declining testosterone. So it's harder to build muscle, which is essentially a metabolic sinkhole. So I hate to say it's like, so much harder, but like there are
It
things
does
working
help
against
you.
you.
Yes.
So why not use these tools if they're available to you? And I think at the end of the day, it's more about quality of life. And yeah, I had a ton of judgments. I don't think I was ever like, oh, this is like the worst thing ever. I just never saw it for me personally. Because at the end of the day, women should do what they want with their bodies. Like I have no say in that. You should be your happiest and healthiest self, how you get there.
Yeah.
But yeah, I had a lot of misconceptions and judgments about it. And
Yeah.
yeah, I've really, really changed my thinking on it and like how you can actually use them in like a very holistic way.
Yeah. And I feel like you've experienced this too, but I feel like in this online space, it's almost like we're not allowed to change our minds about
Yes.
anything. So it's
Yes.
like I've just said in the past, like, this concerns me. This is why. If you want to do it, great for you. I just don't think it's for me right now.
Yeah.
But then now, as I learn more and more about it, and as my hormones have started to change, and I just don't feel as great as I used to, it all makes sense. But why do you think people are so triggered by this? I feel like it's such a triggering topic. And I was trying to think about it. I was like, are people upset because they feel like they're working so hard and they're not getting results? And then they see someone else getting results from doing this. And they're like, I'm mad about that. Like, where do you think it
Yeah.
comes from?
Yeah, I think it's exactly that. I think they just don't have all the information. And I was there too, I would like go into the gym and, I like a friend or acquaintance I hadn't seen in 3 or 6 months, and all of a sudden they're down 30 pounds. And I made judgments about them. I was like, oh, they must be on some sort of shot. You know what I mean? Quick fix. But yeah, I definitely thought that. But I think it's exactly that there are people working hard. And I don't know, maybe they don't have all the info, or maybe they are just afraid or insecure, or they're just not there yet as far as like accepting these as a tool. But I really think it comes down to just education, because that's the thing. Like, I've lost some followers and got some pretty snarky comments, and but at the same time, I'm like, you don't know all the details. You don't know how amazing these can be. And I mean, I really dove into the peptide stuff because of ulcerative colitis. And I had struggled for 14 years. And I had done every diet, I had done every protocol, every single test, every single supplement. I mean, Lord knows how much I spent on supplements. And these have helped me so, so much. And I mean, including the GLP-1. But I mean, I've taken BPC 157, KPV, TB 500, SS31. I've taken a lot of different peptides to help heal my body. And I mean, almost a year later, and I haven't been on meds in a really long time. And when I was in my worst, if I was not on medication, I was going to the bathroom with bloody diarrhea 20 to 30 times a day. I was a hot mess. I couldn't leave my house. And like I said, canceled trips, would cancel stuff with my friends. Like there was no way I was going out and drinking wine with my girlfriends if I was having GI issues. So like these peptides have literally changed my life. So it just makes sense for me to bring this into the world and share it with people. And I really think it's just getting started. Like this is a whole new category of tools, and they work way better than supplements do. So I don't know.
No, that's amazing. I feel like it's a cool, like, in between option before going to like more heavy pharmaceutical type things. It's like kind of in between the supplement world and that. What are the ingredients like in the injections? Like, what do they put in there with the peptides?
So they are synthetic. So
Okay.
most of them are synthetic. Some are natural, but yeah, they are just different sequences of amino acids. And those amino acids, however they, I don't know, put them together in like a lab or however they do it,
Okay.
that's what triggers your body to do certain things. So they can stimulate GLP-1, GIP hormones, they can stimulate growth hormone, they can stimulate all sorts of things. So I don't know the exact science on it, but
Is it just like
that's
mixed with like saline, or are there preservatives in there
oh,
too? Yeah.
oh, yeah, yeah. Sorry. I didn't totally understand your question. So yeah, like when you actually get the peptides, so the company we use, if you want to go into detail on all of that,
Yeah.
we work with a trusted telehealth company, and their peptides are already mixed up, ready to go. It makes it really easy. Back before I found this telehealth company that made my life so much easier, I was going to just random websites, as they say, like the black market, and buying peptides and mixing them up in my bathroom and injecting. And it was like a whole thing. It was a whole experience. But long story short, when you get the peptides in the mail, they're in a powder in a vial. So like you do have to mix them up with this like backwater, and you have to mix them up. You have to do peptide math. It's like I said, it's like a whole experience. And so I was working with a practitioner. He was guiding me. And as much as the peptides were helping me and I wanted to share it with our clients, I was like, there's no way in hell I am having my client go to a random website, buy peptides, mix it up, buy syringes on Amazon, alcohol wipes from CVS, and inject themselves. I was like, absolutely not. They will think I'm a lunatic, and they will totally lose trust in me. So now we work with a telehealth company that has providers that are licensed, that prescribe. They send everything to you in the mail in like a cold pack. Peptides, they don't need to be kept. Well, I mean, do need to be kept in the fridge, but when you're mailing them, they do need to be kept room temperature or colder. They just can't be hot. But my whole point is I used to pay like $25 for my peptides to be shipped because I had to be in this like cold pack. But the telehealth company we use now sends them in a cold pack, peptides all mixed up. They send you the syringes, alcohol wipes, and literally on the vial, you have a prescription for you. It's not like you're buying them from a random website and just figuring it out. Has the pharmacy name, the pharmacy address, your name, your RX number, the doctor who prescribed, your dose, your prescription, the expiration date, all of that. It's like the most legit way that I have found to get peptides, and also like in a very safe way that's not questionable. And I have shared a lot of horror stories about things that happened to me when I was doing it, on the black market. But with UC, I was so desperate and I just wanted to feel better. And at that point, the medication I was on was not working. So I was like, I will do anything to feel better. So long story short, getting back to the peptides, yes, they come as a powder and then you mix them and then you inject them.
Okay. So you do mix them still though. You mix it?
uh,
No, you
Depends.
said it comes like ready to go, right? Okay.
Yeah. So the telehealth company that we use, especially for the GLP-1s, it's called LAMD, but they send you everything already mixed up. And they have a good amount of peptides, but there's some that they don't carry. So yes, I do still dabble in the black market, but very reputable companies, and those come as a powder. And yes, I do have to mix them up. So I'm
Okay.
on one called SS31. It's for mitochondria health. And then yeah, that one Ellie doesn't carry. So I am mixing that up in my kitchen and injecting
Okay.
it.
Okay. And is it weird to inject yourself? I've never done it before. It's like,
So yeah, maybe like the first time because like you don't really know what you're doing. But I feel like once you've done it once, I'm always like, yay, you did it. And then it's
okay.
easy. So I'm injecting myself multiple times per week. I mean, not every single day, but I can do it very fast now.
Okay. Good to know. I feel like it must be like with the CGM. I was so scared the first time. And then once I got it in, I was like, oh, it's not a big deal
Yeah.
at all. So we've
Yeah.
talked a lot about GLP-1s. Can you share some more about some of your other favorite peptides? I know you mentioned a couple of them, but just some of the
Yeah.
benefits. Yeah.
Yeah, there's so many out there. So I think another one that people really like is called PPC 157. And oftentimes it's mixed with TB 500 because peptides can work together. Like, as they say, stacking peptides, in like the bro science space. But with like TB 500 and PPC 157, they call it the Wolverine stack. And really, this is for healing. I mean, it just speeds up healing. And I think in the past, it's been used with like athletes and people who have had like shoulder surgery, ACL surgery, hip surgeries, and you can inject it right into the site. So for ladies who have like nagging back injuries, shoulder injuries, stuff like that, you can inject it right into your body and it will help speed up the healing as far as tissue repair, blood flow, all of that. But off label, they are used for gut issues. So, like leaky gut, ulcerative colitis, things like that. So, a lot of ladies who have kind of like IBS symptoms, where like you're just kind of thrown in this category where they don't know what's wrong with you, but you're having GI issues, it can be really helpful as far as healing goes. And the TB 500 is more for like systemic healing because, yeah, sometimes inflammation can just be leading to all of these gut issues as far as like bloating and food sensitivities and all of that. So, that's a good one. I mean, having ulcerative colitis, it's probably going to be one that I use long term. And when I was in a flare, using it every day, I'm like, heal up the gut, let's do this thing. Now it's kind of like a maintenance dose for me, but that's a great one that ladies like. There's also some great muscle building peptides. So I haven't dabbled in these yet just because I'm spending peptide dollars elsewhere and I can't buy all the peptides. But tesamorelin, ipamorelin, and samorelin, and they're a whole category of peptides. And stacking tesamorelin with ipamorelin work really good. They like complement each other. But basically, they are stimulating growth hormone. And growth hormone, naturally produced in our body, we have pulses throughout the day. The biggest ones are at night. And as we get older, we have less and less growth hormone. Like when you're a kid, you're growing bones and muscles and your brain and like all of that. So you have plenty of growth hormone. But yeah, as you get into your 30s and 40s and beyond, you just don't need it as much. And that's an important piece of the puzzle when it comes to building and maintaining muscle. So for the ladies that are under muscled, maybe they slacked on the strength training, they want to get more jacked, it could be helpful. And also growth hormone is great for sleep. So ladies who struggle with sleep, it can be really great. You typically take these peptides at night before you go to bed, and it can really help improve sleep. It can also improve the quality of your skin. It's like almost like they made some of these peptides for ladies in their 40s. But that's another popular one. And I'm trying to think of other ones that are common. I'd say that's like the three main categories that I'm talking to people about. I personally love glutathione,
Yes.
just as far as like detox goes, hormone health, GI issues for sure. I mean, that's why I started it as far as like, you know, things
Mhm.
moving quickly through my system.
Yes.
Uh, but that's a great one. I just feel like a lot of people can benefit from it. And again, like just our environment, you like your wine and alcohol, you have a history of binge drinking in college, a lot of us are depleted in glutathione. So I think it's a great way just to get more. And the injections, way more bioavailable than any sort of like liposomal or, capsule or anything like that. Not to say that those don't help, but I think if you want more bang for your buck, the injection is going to be where it's at.
Okay, that's great to know. And I was looking at the website too, and they have so many things I like to get in my like wellness IVs anyway, like the NAD and the glutathione. I'm like, this would be
Yep.
so amazing just to have because
Yep.
I feel great when I use those.
Yeah. Yeah. I'm doing the glutathione every day right now.
Yeah.
But eventually probably gonna taper off it. Again, I can't buy every peptide ever.
Yes. Yes. But I'm the same way though. I like to try out different things, but you know what your clients are talking about too, because I've had clients come to me who have tried these things in the past, had a bad experience. And I'm like, I am still learning about these. I'm brand new to this world. So it's cool that you've have your own experience and it's helped you so much with your symptoms too.
Yeah, and that's 100% why, like, I'm so passionate about bringing it to people. And actually, to speak to that, I've had past clients or, ladies in the keratin community come to me telling me horror stories about being on a GLP-1 through their doctor at a much higher dose and having the nausea and not eating. And one of my clients, she ended up in the hospital, like some really, really scary stories. And they've come back to revisit this idea, and they're doing the microdosing and they're doing so much better. So it just goes to show you a lot of times it's not the medication, it's the dose and just not knowing how to properly dose people. So anyways, if you had a scary experience, it's not the end of your journey when it comes to peptides. It's just you need somebody who knows what they're doing.
100%. And like you said too, the emphasis on foundations, like all of those things are still so important. And I really do think it makes sense that the ones that are having bad experiences are the ones that need help with the foundational part of the puzzle.
Oh, 100%. I was just talking to one of my coaches about that, and she basically said that. She was like, "So if they're a train wreck, it's not gonna be magic." And I was like, "Right."
That's it.
It's not a
Yeah.
magic shot, like I said, the ladies who are doing most of the foundations well, they're pretty healthy, but, they're just not seeing the results that they want or feeling the results that they want. It could just be a gentle push just to get you to the next level as far as your health goes.
And I feel like people are going to start to see these the way they did hormone replacement therapy because I felt like there was such a huge stigma with that for so long. And then all of a sudden, everyone's like, oh, this is great. I feel so much better. Everyone is taking this now. And even myself, too, like I fought it for a while with progesterone. I'm like, oh, I'm going to take my herbals. It boosted my numbers a little bit. And then I felt like crap. My progesterone was on the ground, started using progesterone cream, and I am like a different person. It changed my life. So I'm like, I think that this could be seen very similarly to that in like 5 to 10 years.
Yep, I agree. I agree. This is just getting started, and it's like a whole category of health tools. And yeah, I mean, the HRT has been amazing. And I just think at the end of the day, like, you're not doing yourself any favors if you continue to suffer when these tools exist. You know what I mean? So, like, I'm on progesterone, I'm on testosterone, doing all these peptides, but like, I feel awesome. I'm 45 and I feel better than I did definitely better than I did in my 30s, but even like my 20s, like I'm kind of at that phase of life now where I'm just like, this is awesome. Like, I feel so good.
No, it's amazing. It's amazing to like get older, but have more energy and feel better than you did when you were. I was
Yeah.
also treating my body like a trash can,
Well,
so
yeah.
so things have changed a bit on that front. So the
Yeah.
title of the podcast is Healthy in Real Life. What's something that you do in your own routine to create a consistent, sustainable, healthy lifestyle for yourself?
Ooh, okay. So I've just started doing this, and it might sound like a little like eye rolly, or I don't know. Maybe it's not the thing that your listeners want to listen to, but I've started to add transitions throughout my day. So I don't know if anybody can resonate with this, but I am very type A, overachiever, Enneagram 3. I am just like, get stuff done, cross it off the to-do list, 100 miles a minute every single second of the day. And my therapist recommended this. My husband supported it too, just because he lives with me and knows how I am. But throughout the day, I give myself, like, sometimes it's like a minute break or 2-minute break. It's not like, I'm taking a bath in the middle of the day, but like sometimes I'll sit in the chair with my dog and I will just take some deep breaths. And like I said, it could be 60 seconds out of my day, but I just take these little times to like check in with myself throughout the day, because I've noticed that when I'm really going 100, I mean, the stress on my watch is like, oh my God, your body's so stressed. But also, I've found myself holding my breath throughout the day. And I'm just like, that cannot be good for my nervous system. So I know it sounds like a little bit doofy, but yeah, just taking like a couple deep breaths throughout the day and just taking a second for myself, it has been just so amazing for like how I can focus and show up for myself. And I don't feel like such a crazy lunatic throughout the day. And the other thing is creatine.
Okay. How much creatine do you take?
Just a scoop. I think it's like 5 grams, but so
Yeah.
good for muscle building, so good for your brain, so good for your mood, and super affordable.
Oh,
So that's the other thing that I recommend to a lot of ladies.
yeah, I love those tips. No one has ever given the transition tip before. I think that's great because I think so many women just like race from one activity to the next, and then they're like getting into bed and they're like, I don't even know what happened today. Like it just happens so
Yeah.
fast.
Or I was finding myself with like really low patience for
Oh
my
yeah.
family, for people. And I just felt like I was kind of like cranky. I don't know if that makes like on edge, like that
Yes.
just kind of like you've had too much coffee on edge
Yeah.
feeling. Yeah, just taking these like little breaks throughout the day. And like I said, sometimes I'm sitting in my car at a traffic light and I'm like, I'm just going to take 3 deep breaths. Like just, it sounds so dumb, but it really
But
makes a
I think
difference.
so many of us don't do that throughout the day. Like people who are listening, like when is the last time you took a deep breath? I didn't take one since yesterday when I was teaching a
Yeah.
bar class because I was forced to. So no, I think that's an amazing tip. So where can everyone find you? Please shout out all the things. Where can they learn more about peptides? How practitioners can learn more about it? And I'll share all the links in the show notes too.
Yeah. So I'm Keratin Cake everywhere. Website is keraticake.com. I'm probably most active on Instagram. I always say you can find me on Instagram. I have a podcast. It's called the Fit and Fueled Life Podcast. And then we also have a Peptides for Women course. And I think that's like a really good start. We have a little masterclass, like what peptides are about. We have a very comprehensive overview of microdosing and how to do it the right way. I talk more about those muscle building peptides. But if you're somebody that's a little peptide curious, I think that's a great first step. So I'll make sure Gina has that link. And then if you're a practitioner or a health coach, you're unlicensed, but you want to be able to use these peptides, because obviously we can't prescribe. We do have a Peptides for Practitioner course that one of the coaches on my team and I created. And it really was out of necessity because, the two of us were trying to implement peptides into our practices. And like, we just had so many questions. We wanted to make sure we were doing it the right way in an ethical, legal, safe way. And so we basically just put together all of our experience into this course, tons of education, just so you're confident about talking about the peptides, how to talk about them in the right way, the research. We have a great research roundup and a lot of resources, cheat sheets, guides, things like that, just so you don't have to reinvent the wheel, because there's so much out there. We didn't want people chat GPTing or like, listening to podcasts to like put it all together. So we just put it all into one place. But yeah, it's a full on course, and that would be great for anybody who's in the health space that's like, yes, I want to learn more about peptides and I want to put this into practice and use it with my clients. So those are two great places to start.
Okay, perfect. So I'll include all of those links in the show notes so you guys can find out more about peptides, connect with Tina. I'll also have the link if you're curious and you want to shop and see if you want to try it too. So we're here if you have any questions. Tina is your expert, but I'm also here for backup too as well. So thank you so much for being here today and sharing all this amazing info. And I think just really helping remove the stigma from it, because I think it's important. And at the end of the day, like you said, we want women to feel well. Like we want them to have energy and feel successful, especially when they're putting in so much effort. So I think that what you're doing is incredible.
Yeah. Well, thank you for having me. I do love talking about peptides.
Thanks for listening to the Healthy in Real Life podcast. For more info, check out Gina's blog at fitnessista.com.